My name is Lydia Liu. I'm the director of the Institute for Comparative Literature and Society at Columbia University, and also a faculty member of the Institute at Weatherhead East Asian Institute. Before introducing our esteemed speakers today, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you on behalf of the Weatherhead Institute, and also to say to those of you, well, they can't hear me because this is a sold-out event, that we're filming the event. The video will be made available on the website of Weatherhead East Asian Institute. Since people are still coming in, those of you who have bags on your seats, please remove the bags. And also another announcement: there are signed copies of Bei Dao's new book, which we'll be discussing tonight at Book Culture, and so the book is available, and if you, after the event or anytime, you may go and pick up a copy there. Now, it gives me great pleasure, and it's a great honor to introduce our speakers, Bei Dao and Eliot Weinberger. Their conversation tonight will center on Bei Dao's new book, in English translation called City Gate, Open Up, released just this year by New Directions. And the book's Chinese title is called 城门开 in Mandarin. Bei Dao is an old friend with whom I have worked for many decades as one of the editors of the journal Today, that is 今天, which was founded by him and a group of underground poets in Beijing back in 1978. And I have known Eliot Weinberger, writer and Bei Dao's translator, for many years, at least since my old Berkeley days, when I invited him and Gary Snyder and other poets to UC Berkeley for a public reading. That was probably at least 15 years ago. Bei Dao and Eliot Weinberger are no strangers to Columbia University. In fact, they appeared together in a public reading and performance in Lerner Hall 10 years ago. Now, please bear with me as I introduce our two speakers. Bei Dao is an internationally recognized as the foremost poet of his generation, and he is also a master prose stylist. This new book, City Gate, Open Up, is a lyrical memoir of his childhood and adolescence in the city of Beijing. After many years of exile, Bei Dao returns to the city of his birth and tries to capture its melancholy in evocative words and images. The ancient city has undergone deep transformation through several decades of unchecked industrialization, demolitions, and expanding urbanization. The poet's memoir brings back its lost neighborhoods, residents, gardens, temples, schools, music, and vibrant lifeways. Over the past 30 years, Bei Dao has lived and taught in England, Germany, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Holland, France, and the United States. And his works have been translated into more than 30 languages, including 6 poetry volumes in English, including The Rose of Time, which was edited by Eliot Weinberger, Unlock, which was also co-translated by Eliot Weinberger, Landscape Over Zero, the collection of short stories like Waves, and collections of essays including Midnight Skate and Blue House. He has won numerous awards, including the International Poetry Argana Award from the House of Poetry in Morocco, and a Tucholsky Prize from the Swedish Pen Association, and he's an honorary member of the American Academy of Arts and Letters, and he currently lives in Hong Kong and mainland China. Eliot Weinberger is a prolific essayist, political commentator, translator, and editor. His books of literary essays include Karmic Traces, An Elemental Thing, Origins and Peanuts for Sale, and most recently, The Ghosts of Birds. His political articles are collected in a volume called What I Heard About Iraq and What Happened Here, Bush Chronicles. Eliot's ties to Chinese poetry are deep and long-standing. He is the author of a study of Chinese poetry, a translation called 19 Ways of Looking at One Way, and the editor of the New Directions Anthology of Classical Chinese Poetry, and the general editor of the series called Calligrams, Writings from and on China from New York Review of Books, Chinese University Press of Hong Kong. And as I mentioned, he is the co-translator of a poetry volume of Bei Dao's called Unlock, and he edited The Rose of Time. Among his many translations of Latin American writers, the poems of Octavio Paz and Jorge Luis Borges selected non-fictions. So he's very wide-ranging, and his work regularly appears in London Review of Books and has been translated into over 30 languages. And I wanted to mention that sitting next to them is our a doctoral student in the Department of East Asian Languages and Cultures, David Bourgnon, and he will be interpreting for Bei Dao, both for the first hour of their conversation and also for the next hour when we open up the floor for Q&A. Now, finally, I want to thank the Weatherhead Institute for organizing this event. And the prestige of our speakers is marked by the contribution of many co-sponsors, including the Institute for Comparative Literature and Society, the Huang and Ling Fund for the Program in Chinese Literature and Culture, the Center for Contemporary Critical Thought, New Directions Publishing, Department of English and Comparative Literature, the writing program, the Columbia University School of the Arts, and the literary translation program, Columbia Literary Translation Program, also of the School of the Arts. Okay, thank you for putting up with my long-winded introduction. Please join me in welcoming Bei Dao and Eliot Weinberger.
So I'll just say something for 1 minute, and then you read your thing. Okay. Thank you, Lydia, and thank you all for coming. Are we on? It's good? Okay. As Lydia said, we're going to be focusing mainly on the book Citygate Open Up, which has just come out in a tour de force English translation by the poet Jeffrey Yang. And Jeffrey's in residence in Berlin for a year, is writer in residence in Berlin for a year, so he couldn't be here. So I'm filling in for him tonight. Bei Dao will be speaking in Chinese. I mean, his English is totally perfect, but he's feeling jet lag, so he's going to be speaking in Chinese, and David is going to is going to translate what he said and maybe improve what he said also. So we're going to start with Bei Dao wanted to read a short statement, and then we're going to have a kind of informal conversation. We'll read a few bits from the book, and then we'll open it up to questions from all of you.
You know, my English is rusting, but you know, I only understand Eliot Weinberger's English. No problem. But I have to speak in Chinese. When I met him in 1988 for the first time, I think I attended this Chinese poetry festival organized by Allen Ginsberg. So 1988. That's almost 30 years ago. Yeah. So then we met.
And I realized that I first wrote about you in 1986 too. So I had actually wrote an essay that was about you and the Jintian poets in 1986. So I was very excited when Allen Ginsberg brought all of the poets to America.
So, and Allen is we called him big brother. Right, big brother watching me.
He's always watching.
He's watching
yes.
me. So, we've been traveling a lot. Also talk, and give readings. So, very often, yeah. Now I try to say a few words in Chinese. Okay. 我想先介绍一个瑞典诗人。叫 Thomas Tranströmer，Thomas Tranströmer 是2011年的诺贝尔奖获得者。
I want to first introduce a Swedish poet, Thomas Tranströmer, who was the winner of the 2011 Nobel Prize.
而且我是最早的译者，我认识他的时候，那时候我第一次1983年，我是第一个中文的译者。就是当然从英文翻译的。
And I am also his translator. When I met him in 1983, I was his first translator into Chinese.
当然后来我从1985年就认识他了，里面专门写过一个叫蓝房子，叫 Blue House。对。
I actually met him at 1985, and at the time he had a book called Blue House.
那么我想主要是想讲这个。他写的一本书叫《童年和青少年的一个回忆录》，记忆看见我。他在正好在这本书的开端中这样写道。
He wrote a book, a childhood memoir called Memories Look at Me, and in the opening of that book, he writes like this.
我的一生，一想到这词句，我就在眼前看到一道光。再细看，它形如有头有尾的彗星，最明亮的终点是头，那是童年时代及其成长，核心最密集的部分是幼年，那最初的阶段，我们生活最主要的特征已被决定。
My life. When I think of this phrase. Before my eyes, I see a ray of light. When I look more closely, the shape of this ray of light is like a comet with a head and a tail. The brightest point, the head, that's my childhood and my upbringing. The core, the densest part, that's my adolescence, when I began to develop my life's most important characteristics, and they became determined.
我试图回忆，试图从中穿越。却从很难进入那密集的领域，那是危险的。
稍微近一点。
还近一点 ，OK。再重新说一下啊。我试图回忆，试图从中穿越，却很难进入那密集的领域，那是危险的，好像我在接近死亡本身。彗星越往后越稀疏。那是较长的部分，是尾巴，它变得越来越稀疏，越来越宽。我现在处在彗星尾巴相当靠后的部分。我写下的这时，我60岁。
When I try to recall my memories, when I try to traverse them, I find it very difficult to enter the densest part that's dangerous. It's as if I come close to death itself. The further back in the comet's tail I go, the more dispersed it grows. That's the longest part, the tail. It becomes looser and looser and broader. Right now, I'm located at the very tail of the comet. As I write this, I am 60 years old.
正好我在60岁的时候写下了这本书，叫《城门开》。这本也是关于童年和青少年的回忆录。恰好在同一年龄的写作中，我和 Thomas Transformer 交叉在一起，有如文本互补，好像被回忆之光所照亮。
I too have sit here having written the book City Gates Open Up at the age of 60. Also a childhood memoir. Having reached this age, I and my friend Thomas Transtromer have come to intersect, and our texts have supplemented each other, as if they are, as if the light of memory has cast over them.
关于童年和青少年记忆中的记忆，试图重建家园的可能，其实潜在的主题是忧郁。我觉得这一点和莉莉亚给我提出这个建议，我觉得这个题目非常重要，就是我想整个这个题目叫做“童年与忧郁”。
When it comes to childhood and adolescence, the memories within memories, the possibility of attempting to reconstruct the family, actually within all of this, the potential or submerged topic is anxiety and melancholy. As compared to the happiness of childhood, it's perhaps more fitting to talk of this melancholy. Spanish poet.
No, I'm not finished yet. I understand some Chinese.
I think that Lydia's
Okay.
He knows exactly what he's going to say.
Okay.
I think that Lydia's point with regards to the title of this this talk is very pertinent, and I do feel that perhaps a name like sort of melancholy and childhood would have been very fitting.
Yeah. 我正好说有一个西班牙诗人叫马查多，他是98一代的很重要的一个诗人，他提到了诗歌是一个这个忧郁的载体。如果诗歌是灵魂，那么载体就是形式的存在。
It makes me think of a phrase by the poet Machado, one of the 98 generation, a very important poet, who has described poetry as the vehicle of melancholy. If poetry is a soul or has a soul, then this vehicle is the existence of form.
我想这本书的前3章里面是头3章里面，一个是光与影，还有味道和声音。这是这个重建家园的基础，也就是载体中的一部分。在某种意义上，记忆其实远远超越了时间与空间。
The first 3 chapters of this book are light and shadow, taste, and sound.
Smell.
Or smell, not taste, and sound. These are the foundations of reconstructing the family. And also a part of the vehicle.
Okay, maybe we can continue to
okay,
the
that's the
conversation.
end. Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
No, I'm surprised to hear you say that the book comes out of melancholy, because it's not a melancholic book in that sense. You know, I mean, it's a kind of a. I mean, there's obviously it's a book of nostalgia, but it's also a kind of a celebration of the. I mean, particularly the first half in your childhood. But I'm wondering if you should say how you happened to write the book, or what made you write the book, what propelled you to write the book.
That is why. Okay, I'm Chinese.
You can speak in English.
其实我想，写这本书的。这本书的一个动力，其实是因为我，从89年之后， 我在这个就开始流亡了。那么其实是2001年的年底，我第一次回到了，就是13年以后回到了北京。那次对我来说是一个触动，对我来说一种很深的触动。那么我想是不是应该重新写一本书，就是关于和北京有关的。因为整个这个北京的城市对我来说完全变成一个陌生人了，连自己的家也找不着了。所以对我来说，这是一个可以说是一个最初的动力。
The reason or motive that I first chose to write this book was that since 1989, I've been in exile. 2011, at the end of the year, was the first time that after 13 years, I was able to return to Beijing. And that visit left a very deep impact on me. I decided that perhaps it would be necessary to write a book anew, a book about the city of Beijing, which in that time had become like a stranger to me. I could not even find my own home. And that was why, that was one of the primary motives for writing this book.
Yeah, because I guess, I mean, it's safe to say that in this period, Beijing and China itself has been transformed more than any other place on earth that hasn't experienced a war, really. I mean, you have this total transformation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Thank you, Bei Dao. Okay, so the first the first half of the book is really an invocation of your childhood, and the second half of the book is about your adolescence and the Cultural Revolution, and the two halves of the book are really quite different. So I thought maybe we could talk about the first half of the book first.
Okay.
One is the organization of the book is really interesting because it doesn't follow any sort of chronological order. It's more according to different categories, and skips around in your life, but according to sounds, smells, so forth, and so on. And to me, that seems like a very Chinese way of organizing an autobiography. I mean, I think of the great autobiography, Shen Fu, 6 Records of a Floating World, where his entire life is just kind of skips around in that sense. So I was wondering how you decided, to organize the book that way as opposed to going year by year or something.
其实它不是一个连续的回忆录。因为和我的写作其实是一种像那种拼贴，相当于拼贴的概念。它其实是在一个杂志，有一个其实是一个经济的杂志。那么它让我就是每一个月写一篇，每一个月写一篇。这个先把它这个片段中的是拼在一起的，所以并没有一个连续性的这个结构。
Actually, it isn't a continuous memoir. My writing acts as a sort of collage. The impetus for this book was that an economic magazine actually asked me to write one piece a month for them, and I chose to take all of these pieces and connect them, to collage them together.
So it's a kind of serial autobiography. Now, but what's incredible about this book is the sheer amount of detail. And it's like, how did you do it? I mean, I never thought that you had such a good memory, I mean, you never remember anything I say, but, but it's like it's just amazing how much detail there is. So how did you do it?
其实我想就像一个那个记忆中其实有一个通道一样，这个通道会另外一个通道，而且就会像一个门打开另外一个门。其实在这个写作的过程中，自己在不断的在打开。其实原来是隐蔽的，很难穿越这一部分。其实刚才托马斯也说面临这个问题，其实是非常危险的。你写作的其实是有一种死亡的那个地带的这种感觉，所以对一个童年的记忆中，其实是 这一点点都和细节都连在一起了。其实还有一个关键的人物，其实是我的，他跟我同岁，又是他的邻居，他的曹一凡，他是里面提到他了，就是在序言里面，他的记性特别好，他把所有的名字全都记住，包括这条街的名字，他这些他帮我起了很重要的作用。
Really, I think that my memory it almost is a passage, and it's a passage that led to other passages, much as a door might open another door. And these memories continue to open themselves. At the beginning, they were hard to traverse. They had been closed to me. I feel that Thomas really said it best, that it's dangerous to revisit these memories. You feel that you come close to death. And so in writing this childhood memoir, the details all connected to each other. In the process, actually, there was one person who was very important, someone of my age too, a neighbor, Cao Yifan, who had an incredible memory. He's mentioned in the preface. And he was able to remember everything from the names of the streets to other details. And he's had a very important impact on the writing of this book.
Perhaps we should read a few passages from the book.
Okay.
We're going to read, Bei Dao is going to read one passage in Chinese, and then I'm going to read a different passage in English. And so if you don't know the Chinese, you'll have to buy the book to read it.
OK，
What?
接近好。
Yeah. Do you want to explain what this passage
The
is?
first chapter, Light and Shadow。我现在说中文了哈。光与影。2011年底，我重返阔别13年的故乡。飞机降落时，万家灯火涌进舷窗，滴溜溜转。我着实吃了一惊。 北京就像一个被放大的灯光足球场。那是隆冬的晚上，出了海关，3个陌生人举着赵先生牌子迎候我。他们高矮胖瘦不一，却彼此相像。湖光灯反衬下，有如来自另一个世界的影子。欢迎。 仪式简短而沉默，直到坐进一辆黑色轿车，他们才开始说话，很难分辨是客套还是威胁。灯光如潮让我分神。在儿时，北京的夜晚很暗很暗，比如今至少暗100倍。举个例子，我家邻居郑方龙。 在2居室单元，共有3盏日光灯，客厅8瓦，卧室3瓦，厕所和厨房共有3瓦，挂在毗邻的小窗上。也就是说，全家过年或豁出去不过日子的话，总耗电量不过14瓦，是没有如今。 还没有如今时髦穿衣镜环形灯泡中的一个亮。这在3不老1号或许是个极端的例子，可就在全北京而言，恐怕还远低于这个水平。我的同学往往全家一间屋1盏灯，由家长实行灯火管制。 一拉灯，那功课怎么办？少废话，明儿再说。灯泡一般不带灯罩，昏黄，柔润，照着有一圈神秘的光晕，抹掉黑暗的众多细节，突出某个。 高光点，那时候的女孩不化妆不打扮，反而特别美，肯定与这个灯光有关。 大家都能听得懂哈。日光灯的出现是一场灾难，真是这个日光灯，端木夺目刺眼，铺天盖地，无遮无拦。正如养鸡场日间照明，为了让母鸡多下蛋一样，日光灯创造的是白天的假象。人不下蛋，就更不得安宁，心烦意乱。可惜了的是，美人不在，那脸光板铁青，怎么涂脂抹粉也没用。其实受害的最深的还是孩子，在日光灯下，他们无处躲藏，失去了想象的空间，过早迈进野蛮的广场。据我们物理老师说，当人进入黑暗，短短几分钟内，视力可增至20万倍。看来黑暗让人动若观火，灯火本来是人类进化的标志之一，但这进化一旦过了头，反而成了睁眼瞎。想当年，我们就像狼一样，目光敏锐，迅速调节焦距，刷看到火光，刷看到羊群，刷看到无比美好的母狼。
So for the English speakers, that passage is about sort of how dark Beijing was in those days, and you had very small light bulbs, and the streets at night were dark, and you had people on bicycles with paper lanterns with candles in them and so forth, and it's a kind of unimaginable city. And it reminded me, that passage reminded me of the famous book by the Japanese writer Tanizaki called In Praise of Shadows. And I just asked Bei Dao if he read that, but he hadn't, so it's like two parallel texts. So this part I'm going to read is called Sounds. That one was about light, this one is about sounds. Around age 6 or 7, I composed a musical invention. To the sounds of car horns, I hummed a tune in counterpoint. Together, these two sounds defined the metropolis for me. As dream became reality, the proliferating noises of the metropolis, particularly the sounds of drills and jackhammers, tormented me to madness. After many long nights of fleeting sleep, I ultimately concluded that to the children of our agricultural empire, the so-called metropolis, the great city has had little relation to their verbal creativity. Beijing at the turn of 1960 still seemed like a large village. Early in the morning, one could hear a rooster crow. It lived nearby with the Gong family on a small plot of land in their enclosed courtyard where, besides squash and bean vines, one could find a chicken coop. The proud, solitary rooster would herald the dawn each day, waking me up, its crows projecting like a singer's vocal exercises, listeners following it with hearts in their mouths, climbing the scale up into the clouds until it unexpectedly stopped, leaving them suspended in midair. The Gong family also raised a lone turkey. The guttural g-g-g calls echoed out from within the swaying flesh hanging from its neck, making the animal seem like an asthmatic old geezer. In fact, the turkey was strong and robust, and as tame as it was docile, letting all of us kids take turns riding on its back, strutting forward with head held high. I flip over, wanting to return to my dragon sleep. Sparrows flapping on the roof tiles, chi-chi, ja-ja, chattering away, the hollow echoes of pecking on the iron drain pipes. Among the flock, one chirps out the shrillest, its wings fluttering with intense vigor. Winter, the boiler room workers begin to add more coal for heat. Hot water circulates through the heating pipes. Hua, hua, hua. Burbles along with the sibilance of the ventilation to a sudden clash of warm and cold air that, pipa, bursts with a clang. It felt like being caught in an enormous digestive excretion system. The movement of people below, a confusion of footsteps clearly distinguishable. Male heavy, female lighter, street workers chaotic, office workers steady, sluggish elders pause, children as a rule vary. Some prance and skip about, some drag their feet on the dirt, shoes worn down. The rush of bicycles magnifies the early morning silence. Spokes whistle in the wind, tires fly with dust and stones. Chains, kung kung kung, rub against their guards. Bells ring out, a deafening gong splits the air. I flip over again, still listening into the distance. A horse snorts. Iron hooves slip on the asphalt. The cart driver shouts out rebukes. His whip slashes through the air. The shaft of the cart jolts and creaks. The number 14 bus sails by, motor rumbling, toot toot toot, spurting out clouds of exhaust. Pneumatic doors open and close with a hiss. The ticket collector lazily announces, "This is Liu Hai Air Hutong." Around 7:25, the head teacher, Mr. Li, passes through 3 never-old Hutong, where Bei Dao lives. Tall and thin, upright as a pencil, eyes never askance, meteoric strides forging ahead, the tuo echo of his black leather shoes. With a soft clearing of his throat and a quick turn of his head, he hawks up a loogie. The instant I hear Mr. Li's footsteps and his phlegm hawking, I hop out of bed in a flurry.
Very good translation.
Good translation.
Yeah,
right?
very good.
You like the translation?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. What were you
我
going
就
to say?
好奇，因为这个 Eliot Weinberger，不是，那个 John Jeffrey Young， 他翻译的是一般如果是从英文翻译成象声词的话，他其实按照英文一般都是这么处理的。他居然把这个中文的声音，他完全是模仿的，这个是他可以是从来没这么做过，好像。
It's very curious to me because Jeffrey Young, the translator, he really chose, in translating the onomatopoeia, instead of using the English equivalents, he's really retained the Chinese sounds. I think that this is a pretty novel approach.
Yeah, no, it's terrific, actually, because then you get completely different sounds. Speaking of translation, when you read the English translations, do you find that this is a way of reading yourself? Because many authors do. When you read yourself in translation, you become a reader of yourself in a way that you're not when you're reading your own work in Chinese. Yeah. Is that true for you, or?
You mean
When you read your poems in translation, say in English, do you feel like you're a different person reading your work?
Yeah. 对，我一般都会走神儿。我就走神的意思就是说，我在翻译的时候，我从来没太注意别人翻译，我就听我自己的声音。我就是有没有听机会？如果在我们那个朗诵的都是 Eliot Weinberger 在翻译，他代表了他的声音。这个
So, well, actually, normally, I feel like I just zone out. I only really listen to my own sound. And so, for example, if Eliot Weinberger is reading, then all I hear is his sound, that represents his sound, his voice.
But I mean, I remember once I made a mistake in translating one of your poems, and you said, well, actually, I like that better than the original, so why don't you leave it? And then, of course, the various academic reviewers said, this is a terrible translation. Look how he translated that word. You know?
这个翻译可以说，我其实后来因为后来和Eliot，因为我们是共同合作，以前其实是由别人的译者，但是最后和那个我来做，其实是作为那个就是 字面翻译，我先试着翻译，然后我们共同合作，这个其实挺有意思的。他帮我那个修改，然后我们再回过来再反复的修改，这个其实是一个共同的，就是挺有意思的写作的那个过程中，一直在不断的修改。
So, well, with Eliot, we've collaborated actually several times, and I've worked with other translators before. And typically, with translators, one thing that I'll do is that I'll ask for the literal translation, a word-by-word one, and then afterwards we'll go in and edit bit by bit. And I find this process actually quite an interesting process of translation.
So do you feel like you discover things about your work doing this through translation?
对，这个其实是我在后来慢慢，其实是后来才就是能慢慢跟上了。以前在翻译过程中，我从来没注意过。现在我发现，其实你的那个节奏和你的那个 rhyme 这些，你都其实是，我发现就是我们是越来越接近了。
Yeah, I find that as this goes on, I gradually can follow better and better, whereas I couldn't before. And now I realize, for example, when you read your rhythm and your rhyme, I feel that it's actually that our ways of reading are approaching each other.
I guess we should go back to City Gate, and we're still in the first half in your childhood. Of course, what's extraordinary is how all of these external events are. I mean, it's seen completely from the point of view of your family, which I guess we could call middle class, if that means anything, in China in the 1950s, and yet all of these things are impacting it, mainly the Great Famine and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's curious that it's seen completely from the point of view of the child there. I mean, so it doesn't have larger analyses of what's going on in the rest of the country and so forth.
我觉得其实我的和我的童年经验，其实是和中国的这个历史和政治这个运动都有关系。包括其实我刚才说的，其实我在8岁的时候，我们当时住在同一个单元，2家人，结果那个反右斗争的那个父亲，就是那家里的那个父亲，觉得他那个从那个楼里跳下去了，然后那天对我来说是一个很大的刺激，那我就想起来这个，因为你可以听得，就是作为他那个母亲，她一直在偷偷的哭，这个其实是很重要的这个记忆，因为能在同样一个单元里面，他们的能够有一个他的这个另外一个另外一个家里人的这个父亲，他突然就消失了，这是挺可怕的一个记忆。
I feel actually that my childhood memories are very closely connected to Chinese history, to politics, to the history of movements. I remember very clearly that when I was 8 years old, in the same unit in which we lived, there was another family. And the anti-rightist campaign actually forced the father of the other family to jump out the window to kill himself. The mother, I remember hearing the mother secretly crying. And this is an important memory to me because for two families living in the same unit, for the other family's father to suddenly disappear, I mean, this was pretty horrific.
那么后来包括大跃进，再加上后来的这个就是这种饥荒，那这个我印象中里面就是一个特重要的细节，就是我当时实在那个时候。在这个年龄的时候，是大概10岁左右，就饥饿，就实在没有什么可吃的了，我就把那个就是味精 MSG， 他们后来到美国人总是说这个特别讨厌，这个千万别提这个，但是我居然把那瓶都吃进去了，然后后来我父母就告诉我说，怎么会？把这个都这瓶味精怎么都打翻了？其实是我自己都 喝进去了。
Even when it comes to the Great Leap Forward and the famine, I mean, there's one important detail in the text, which is that when I was 10 or so, I remember feeling so hungry that there was absolutely nothing to eat that I drank an entire bottle of MSG. And this, I remember my parents asking me, why would you knock over or why would you break this bottle? I hadn't. I drunk it.
I was curious about one thing that doesn't come up in the book, just from my own point of view, because Bei Dao and I are born in the same year, and I'm 6 months older, which is why he looks so much younger. But we often compare notes. So we always say, oh, 1967, he was a Red Guard, I was a hippie. What I was wondering about is, so in the 1950s, in my childhood, we were very aware of the Cold War, and we were terrified of nuclear war. And this was, I mean, being sort of middle-class person in America, in the Eisenhower America. And I was curious how much the rest of the world enters into your childhood. I mean, were you aware of the Cold War? Were you aware of the break with the Soviet Union? Were you aware of the atomic bomb? Things like that in your childhood. Does that come in, or is it all kind of local? I mean, is it more like the Great Famine and things are more pressing, you know?
About the Cultural Revolution, right?
Well, this is before the Cultural Revolution. Before the Cultural Revolution, say in
yeah.
your child, in say in the 1950s,
yeah.
you know, and early 1960s.
对，我其实在这个童年成长过程中，包括在小学，后来到初中，后来到高中，高中进入了一个所谓是一个精英学校，可能最有名的全中国最有名的学校之一吧，叫北京四中。这个你们知道这学校吗？你们知道吗？
Wait, I think you have to translate here.
Oh, yeah.
So as I was growing up, and even as I was going through elementary school, going through middle school, and then through high school, well, actually, I should say I entered in high school an elite school, that is Beijing number 4. Beijing number 4 middle school.
Oh, there's a graduate here who is...
Yeah, many. 很多北京四中的同学们啊，我也是同学哈，那个。
But she actually went to the school because it was closed for the Cultural Revolution.
No, I spent a year, more than a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Beijing number 4.
Because there's this great moment in the book where you're really worrying about your mathematics exam, and then the Cultural Revolution breaks out, and you don't have to take the exam. It's like
我想还有一些比较有意思的经验，就是其实我是阅读，我阅读其实是是有2种阅读，一种是我们家里有一个书架，书架是代表了正统的书，都是代表了所谓经典，包括马列、毛泽东，包括鲁迅。当时这些书对我从来就没有什么兴趣，但是后来我是从那个阁楼，我家人有一个阁楼。我自己就，当时很小，大概11岁左右，我就要爬着凳子，他要爬三个，就跟那个杂技一样，自己要把它爬上去，然后把那些书给运过来。那书都是和49年以前的书，都是这个各种什么当时的那些画报。还有就是一些这个当时的一些这种，包括黄色，我们就叫黄色那个，还有我母亲是医生，我母亲也有这种那个妇科的书，就是那个时候是阅读的经验特别重要。后来正好其实在从10岁到17岁。都是我的那个阅读都是从阁楼上的书，那些书呢，我其实是不会太认真看的，然后我每次要悄悄的把这个然后按时要把书再放回去。最后来我父亲突然发现了，他就上了把锁， 但是我居然也找到钥匙了，我自己在经常把自己摔过，就是从那个三个椅子，你摞起来以后就经常会摔下来，就是浑身受伤。这个受伤呢和这个阅读的经验有直接的关系。
So I have a few, I mean, there's some other interesting things I wanted to mention too, other interesting memories. In my home, there were two kinds of reading, the one or two kinds of things to read. On the one hand, there was the bookshelf, and that's where all the classics were. That's where Marx and Marxist Leninism lived. That's where Lu Xun was. That's also where the books of Mao were. On the other hand, there was also an attic, and I would have to kind of perform acrobatics to get into this attic because it was quite high for me. And there you'd have books from before 1949. I was never really interested in the things on the bookshelf, the classics. Instead, I was interested in these illustrated periodicals that they'd have from before 1949. There were even erotic books, yellow books. And I should mention, too, that my mother was a doctor, and as such, there were also books about gynecology that I would read. These were very important to me. And I had to secretly remove these books and then return them without being found out. And once my father found out, he locked it. But I would find the key and I'd do it, and I'd go back and take those books out anyways. I had to stack 3 chairs on top of each other to be able to access this attic. And I'd frequently fall. So for me, injury or pain has a very direct relationship to reading.
然后其实正好讲到文革我们叫破四旧的时候，所有的书全部要烧了。那时候我其实是一种侥幸，我因为把全都看，其实我都看完了，所以后来他们就是看着一把火就先给烧了，所以我自己那个是一个挺复杂的一种心理。
And that was right when the Cultural Revolution started. There was the Destroy for Olds campaign, where all of the books, especially all of the older books, had to be burned. I was purely lucky at that point because I'd already read all of them. So I had a pretty complicated relationship to that whole time.
其实我可以讲讲我其实有个很普通的故事，我父母怎么认识的，我父母怎么能变成我怎么能就是出生的，这是很重要的故事。Okay.
Actually, I should tell you just a very ordinary story. I should tell you the story of how my parents met each other and how they made meat.
How they made meat? Not how they met, how they made meat. Okay.
No, how they met and then how they made Bei Dao.
Oh, and how they made you. Oh, I thought you said how they made. I thought you said how they made meat. Oh, how they made you. You sure you want to share this with everyone?
No. Actually, 我们的其实是我觉得和战乱有直接的关系，因为我的母亲和我的外婆，他们要到上海去。我当时的外公是在重庆。他已经是8年了，8年也是就是日本抗日的这8年，所以他这个外婆带着我的母亲，我母亲当时其实20多岁，他们而且这个机场还在，机场这个地方还在，叫珊瑚坝机场，这个机场还在。然后我我母亲，我的外婆和我的母亲，当时他们不会拨当时技术很差，就是不知怎么把这个打电话想打给那个外公，结果后来我就碰到一个年轻人，那个年轻人正在排队，他们其实也准备从重庆要搬到北京，他们要等机票，那个机票要等3天3夜。后来这个年轻人就是我的父亲，他正好要打一个，就是让他把这个电话拨过来，然后这个就是一个缘分吧，就终于他们2个人然后就终于留这个地址，这个当然以后就开始 联系了，就是因为一个电话，当时的电话和战乱都有关系，所以后来我父母就在这个他们通了2年的信，在北京和上海。这个后来就当然就是他们在48年的这个5月份他们就结婚了，然后后来把我在北京出生的，他们就也是从上海搬到了北京。
So I think actually the way they met has a lot to do with the Civil War and the violence and turmoil of the times. My mother was over 20 years old at 26.
大概你问我母亲啊，我母亲大概20多岁。
So around 26 years old, and she had a relative in Chongqing, or she had a grandmother in Chongqing, 外婆. And the airport actually that she had to travel to leave Shanghai is still there. It's a place called Shanhuba. At the time, when she was at that airport, she ran into another family or another person who was trying to go to Beijing. And at the time, to get tickets, you had to wait 3 days and 3 nights to get flight tickets. And they needed help to make this call. And so because of this very chance meeting, my mother and my father, because that's exactly who it was, the person who was planning to go to Beijing, they stayed in touch and they exchanged letters for 2 years. They married in 1948 in May, and I was born in Beijing.
Where it come from?
I'm glad that was the G-rated version of how you were made. Let's talk a little bit about because the time's going, about the second part of the book, about the Cultural Revolution, which obviously is quite different than the first part about your childhood. One question I had is, this book is published in mainland, and was there any censorship of the book in the mainland, or did passages have to be cut out, or?
这本书这是 Oxford Press， 这个是没有删节的，但是大部分可以说现在的那个时候是比较放松的，大概只有几个地方有这个删节，比如刚才说那个叫威胁，有一个就是说那个其实是3个便衣警察，他们其实是威胁，不是他把这个词就换了一个词。所以这种审查制度当然是肯定要有的，但是我觉得总体来说，他们这个程文开里面的删节很少。
Well, I mean, this edition, which is the Oxford University Press edition, that has no redactions or omissions. But when this book was published, it was much easier then. And only a few places were censored or redacted, even in the book that was published in mainland China. For example, in that first passage that I read, I mentioned three people who come to pick me up, plainclothes policemen, and I used the word. It wasn't clear if they were threatening me or inviting me, so they made us change the word "threaten" to a different word. But there's only a few places and relatively minor changes.
And nothing about the Cultural Revolution.
Oh, no,
nothing that you had to change about that.
没有。关于文化大革命，这段历史其实是一个很复杂的历史，所以它是其中的一部分。这一部分呢，当然，我想几乎我自己好像没注意，它好像没有删节文革的这一部分。
In terms of the Cultural Revolution, I mean, it's just such a complex event, and my story is only a small part of it. In terms of that and the censorship, I don't think that they, I didn't pay a lot of attention, but I don't think that they made any major changes to that part.
And in the second half of the book, when you're really talking about the Cultural Revolution, you're mainly describing all of these incredible incidents, but there's not a moment where you try to kind of reflect and what was it all about, sort of. And I'm wondering how you separate like adolescent. I mean, you compare the Cultural Revolution to Lord of the Flies, and how you separate the sort of stupidities of adolescence with which we all regret with a much larger kind of insanity than most of us have in adolescence. It's kind of hard to separate the politics from the adolescence.
你想关于这个文革的这个，你再给我再确定一下，别弄错了。
就是想问一下，就是你如何看待，就是你个人的青少年的成长过程和这个更大的政治背景，因为就所有人都会青少年就是自己后悔东西单讨，在这样的就是这样子复杂或者这样错乱的情况下有。
我想其实是。我关于文革的这段历史，我是其中的那个经验中的一部分，所以我没有特别想强调它那个，但是其实是和如果我自己的经验是从真是可以说17岁的战争，我当时正好是66年这一年，17岁，当时其实是因为我那个时候因为北京四中这个对我压力很大。这个学校这个数学我根本就不行，就眼看着就没希望了。然后我觉得最后考试的时候，就是这个期末的考试的时候，突然就那一天决定，就是我还记得6月1号，突然他们就决定要关学校，都应该关门了。哎呦，我就觉得心里特别高兴，因为就是觉得这个考试马上就面临一个很大的危险。后来觉得毛主席突然。做了一个决定，就是永远关门了。后来我就觉得特别就比较踏实。所以这个其实是很重要的一个细节，就是说是一个这个革命中的其中的一部分，是包括还有刚才我说的这个大串联的故事也是，我们居然是去免费旅行，这个在中国这个国家几乎不太可能的这个。在当时，全世界就是全中国都是这样，他只要是中学生，都可以用那个学生证，都可以去旅行，这是一个很独特的一种经验。
I didn't want to emphasize the Cultural Revolution too much, but in terms of my actual experience, I'll give an example. When I was 17 years old, that's when the war, you could call it that, broke out. That was 1966. I happened to be in my first year at Beijing No. 4, and I felt that the pressure was enormous. It was a very good school, and the math exam was extremely difficult. I just remember that one day the school closed. I remember very clearly. It was June 1st, and I was so happy. I felt facing this existential danger that Mao had made a decision to close the school forever, and I felt very secure. I felt very relieved. I think this is an important detail because it shows how varied and how many parts there were to the revolution. I'll give you another example. When in those days, as a student, you could travel for free, and that's a very unusual experience. You don't really have that anywhere else in the world. All you needed was to have a student ID, and you could travel.
如果说我的从8岁第一次去旅行，是我到上海，是我跟我母亲，这是第一次。第二次就是这个17岁的时候，我去了8个国家，去了很多地方。这个经验和我后来的这个跨越这个视野的这个你可以说是一个非常很重要的经验。所以后来我其实和为什么我估计越走越远，就是后来流亡也有关系。
And I mean, I made use of this opportunity. Once when I was 8, I went to Shanghai with my mother. And another time when I was 17, I remember I went to 8 countries. 8国
8个
8 provinces.
Oh,
Yeah.
8 provinces. I went to 8 different provinces.
Cities.
8 different cities. And I feel like this kind of crossing of boundaries very much influenced me. It had a very important effect. And I felt like I just went further and further until eventually I ended up in exile.
It's an interesting way. Before we open, we should open to questions, but I think people always ask me about what your current status is. I mean, you were allowed to go to the mainland when your father became ill, and you could visit him, but you were under a kind of house arrest. And then in recent years, your work is published in the mainland and is bestsellers, and you're allowed to travel freely in the mainland, but you don't do public appearances, or very rarely do public appearances, or.
当然这个可以说这个其实我写的这本书叫这个 Father 这个 last chapter， 其实我写的最后的时候是非常痛苦的，因为尤其和那个父亲的关系，我专门还是在柏林正好是他有一个那个酒店是让我待1个月免费的，还可以吃饭，所以我就这1个月把这个其实是那个可以说跨越了一个很重要的一个难关，我一定要把这篇文章要这个最后的结尾要写完，所以和父亲的关系其实是和中国社会有直接的关系。
The last chapter, Father, it was very painful for me to write, actually, because my relationship to my father was a kind of very difficult sort of period or blockage for me to try to pass through. I wrote it in Berlin at a hotel that gave me free room and board for a month. And I spent that month passing through this very difficult period because I really feel that my relationship to my father has to do with my relationship also to Chinese society in general.
当然，我这个流亡的过程中，其实是一直，太复杂这段故事，可能我应该会写下面一个那个第2卷和第3卷。
I mean, the process of my exile has just it's been so complicated. I might write a sequel to this or maybe even a trilogy.
Because you're doing in 20-year, so you have to write, you have 2 more volumes to write while you're living the 4th volumes, right? I guess we should open to questions because that was the, okay. And so, of course, you can ask in Chinese or English. Over there in the back? Right, you there in the check? Yeah.
Should we get a mic?
I'm wondering whether it's mine, whether it's me or...
I don't know, is there a mics at your seats? Yeah, so speak into the mic at your seat, and I think you might have to push a button or something.
Okay. Should I speak Chinese or English?
Either.
I'm wondering why so many writers, they want to miss or recall their childhood memory in their 60s or even older. I'm just wondering this. Can you give me some explanation or some experience of yours?
I understand you English, but
He doesn't understand what she wants to know. While he's translating, I'll also say that, you know, now everyone who goes to writing school in their 20s, they write about their childhood memories also. You know, and it used to be that the last book you write was your memoir, but now it's the first book you write.
哎，这个刚才这个女同学吧，是吧？那个女同学吧。
What?
我刚才这个好像没注意，那个是个中国人吧？哎，是中国人吧？对，那个其实是人好像到了一定的年龄要回忆，好像都会有这个回忆的一个，尤其是对童年的记忆，因为好像就是追溯到它的源头。因为为什么刚才像托马斯也会这样？就是他年龄也是60岁做一个决定，那而且他运气很好，他是在他中风之前，后来我也中风了，其实和他有点关系。他那个就是写完这书以后我也中风了，就是那个就是因为那个托马斯他可能就是写完了以后马上就而且他的语言几乎是他的语言完全他不会说话，只会说那么两个字。那个我觉得一个童年的记忆可能正好是要有一个它的源泉中的来源，这是为什么他作为一个作家，作为一个诗人，都要去理解自己，这是最重要的。像理清这个重要的寻找自己的这一部分。
Thank you for the question. I think that when you reach a certain age, it's very common to reminisce, especially around childhood. And I think it's part of a desire to return to the source. For example, when Thomas, who was also 60, when he decided to write his memoir, and he's lucky because he wrote his memoir right before he got a stroke. And actually, while writing, after writing my book, I also got a stroke. I think it had to do with the book. After his, however, he could only say 2 words. He couldn't speak very much anymore. So I think it really has to do with the desire to return to the source, the origin, both as a writer and as a poet, and to understand and to make sense of the kind of different things that go into making one who one is.
因为刚才他说的这句话，其实我再重复讲他这句话。他说，其实是我试图回忆，试图从中穿越，却很难进入那密集的领域，那是危险的，好像我们接近死亡本身。其实我觉得这个真的童年这个写作并不是一个很愉快的一件事。其实我自己写这个写了大概2年吧，这本书。尤其是最后写我父亲的这一章，简直是对我来说是一个痛苦的经验。
I think that Transtromer says it best. He says, when I try to remember, when I try to traverse my memories, I find it very hard to enter the densest parts. That's dangerous. It feels as if I'm coming close to death itself. And I think he really captures how reminiscing is not necessarily a joyful experience. I wrote this book for about 2 years, and the last chapter in particular, the one about father, that was actually, there was a lot of suffering for me.
Sorry, there's a woman in the back here.
Okay. Yeah, hello. I wonder if you could elaborate more on the melancholy aspects of it in relation to how witty Citygate is. I'm reading it and finding it very witty, and judging by the reactions of the audience here tonight, there's a lot of agreement on that. Does one of those qualities enhance do those qualities enhance one another, or does one, enhance another?
幽默的关系，忧郁的关系，和忧郁的关系。这好像挺逗的，可不可以解释一下？幽默和忧郁对，这个书其实很多人觉得很好玩，觉得很幽默，同时也是忧郁的。其实这个词很接近忧郁和幽默。
I think lots of people think this book is very funny. People think it's witty, and I think that at the same time it's still very melancholy. I mean, the words for melancholy and for humorous are very close in Chinese. 幽默 and 忧郁。
因为我觉得忧郁这个其实不要去把这个东西写得太沉重，因为其实在过程中是一个很复杂的感情，不是一个，也不是快乐，也不是快乐，也不是。它是一种很复杂的这种情绪，包括其实对我自己的这个，我其实在回忆中的时候，我是经常是梦幻的一个人，就是我小的时候是在这个成长的过程中的，很难，这个其实是不是一个我认为不是太正常的孩子。
I think that when I was writing it, I was thinking, don't make it too heavy, because I had a very complex emotion about it in the process of writing it. It wasn't joy, but it wasn't not joy either. And I feel that especially when it comes to me as a child, I was always as if in a dream. I don't think I was a very normal child.
But now you're a normal adult, right? Right, okay, so here in the blue, this guy in the blue.
You mentioned one of the painful moments in your writing process. My question is, could you please share 1 or 2 moments in your writing process that make you feel excited or promising?
Could you translate from English to Chinese?
From English to English. Moments in the writing process that you
writing
feel are
process.
exciting, or moments that you feel are exciting in the writing
Or,
process.
yeah, your
Writing process. Okay. 写作的。 你说是这本书是吧？啊，这本书当然还是总体来说愉快吧，因为作为一个作家，其实是一个复杂的一种载体，它是那个写作的一种娱乐，就是愉悦这一部分。当然你要不断的去叫跨越那个障碍，因为都会写的障碍，比如细节。因为细节有些东西，慢慢其实自己在通过照片、通过声音、通过这个同学的回忆，就是一点点就被唤醒。
I mean, this book is filled with joy in lots of ways. I think that writing is a very complex vehicle or medium. You have to constantly overcome obstacles. Just for example, the details of the book. I had to recall them through looking at photographs, through uncovering sounds, through interviewing peers and thinking of their memories. And I think that process is a process of awakening for myself.
贝岛先生您好我叫杨蝶来，今天能见到你非常激动，因为一直以来非常喜欢您的作品。我的问题是，就是您刚才在提到你的流亡13年以后回到故乡，然后发现故乡不在，就是充满了陌生感，然后这种感觉其实我是挺有共鸣的。我是来美国留学多年，然后有十来年了吧，然后每次回家的时候，就是陌生感都会多加一层。我想知道您在面对这种故乡不在的时候，如何找到精神上的故乡和精神上的归依，以及如何面对这种与故乡断裂的疼痛感。谢谢。
I'll translate that.
Yeah,
So, hi, I'm very happy to finally be able to hear you talk. I like your works a great deal. And you mentioned in your introduction that you, after being in exile for 13 years, came home to Beijing and felt that it was a city that had become a stranger. I really sympathize with this, having studied abroad for over 10 years. And every time I go back, I really feel that I feel very estranged from my city. So how do you think about this experience of estrangement, and also how do you discover for yourself kind of home in spirit, or a home that is not one place?
这本书其实是最初是和2001年第一次13年以后，这流亡第一次，因为我父亲病重，才给我特别的批准。那一次呢，真是对我来说，我根本就可以说一个很大的震动。我自己的连家都找不到去。后来我觉得这个最觉得这个13年的变化不能想象的。所以对一个我们面临一个所谓现代化的问题，其实你现在再回到北京，你现在完全自己，我现在真是我变成一个陌生人了。我回到北京以后，我就是用打车的办法，就用 GPS 来解决，它能告诉我在什么地方。其实我永远连方向都弄不清楚了，所以觉得这个城市，我真是一个陌生的城市。那么连那个地标也没有了，所以我觉得这个其实作为一个作家，其实是挺痛苦的一件事。因为我的记忆中都是和我这个，包括其实我在我长大的这个，比如是三宝老胡同这个地方，居然还在这个地方，但是你觉得你这些地方自己都不认识了，所以这个是一个，所以后来我觉得为什么要写这本书，其实是要从文字来建另外一个城市。其实根本就觉得作家是唯一的可能，我觉得别人是怎么可能呢？所以我就为什么特别强调这前3章的这部分，声音和这个阴影，声音和阴影和那个光影影，还有味道和那个声音。我觉得它是一个地基才这样就慢慢才能立起来。其实有一个法国一个很重要的一个作家叫就是他叫刘有很长的一本书，就讲到他也讲到这个 味道，他觉得味道其实是可以，对，弗鲁斯特他专门讲到这个，他的一块蛋糕，从那蛋糕一个记忆中的一部分，他就其实这个也是从这儿开始的，他是能建立一个巨大的一个那个大厦，他拥有这个味道建成的。其实这个味道就是，我觉得这个作家的他的一个特点吧，就是我们可以通过文字来建成的。
So I would say when I returned to Beijing 13 years after leaving in 2011, it was because my father had gotten sick. I was given exceptional permission to return. And on returning, I felt shaken to the core because it's indescribable what 13 years of change had done. I mean, when we look at this problem of modernization, I feel that this experience is very important. When I go back now, I become a stranger. I can't find my home. I have to use GPS to find places. I have no sense of direction. And there's not even any landmarks left. So as a writer, it's very painful because these are all my memories. For example, Sambulao, three not old. The street where I used to live is still there, but you don't recognize it. And so what I chose to do was to write a new city. This is something that authors can do. I don't know how other people face this problem. I don't know what they do. That's why I emphasize the first three chapters: light and shadow, smell and sound, because they form a kind of foundation on which you can construct the rest of this new city. And as a French writer, I mean Proust. And writing about the power of smell to bring people back into memory, and in particular of the Madeleine that starts his entire book. These sensory experiences are the basis for constructing a great edifice.
Well, there's so many. How about the guy in the black here? You.
I don't have speaker here, so I'll speak loud.
Okay.
声音大一点，听不太清楚。
非常荣幸见到你。然后我的问题是，在我读这本书的时候，大概是我上大学的时候，然后我们这代人大概是1990年之后出生的人，然后我们在读这本书的时候，我觉得你的记忆对我们来说是陌生的，就像你来到现在的北京。你觉得自己是个陌生人一样，我觉得这本书你怎么看待这本书就传承了这种就我们之间的这种互相 visiting 的这种关系怎么看待这个问题？还有一个问题就是我在读这本书的时候，我觉得你可能在重新回到北京，在很多年之后重新回到北京的时候，可能觉得这个城市是陌生的，或者对你来说是不熟悉的。在这本书写作之后，你现在越来越多的回到中国大陆，你是觉得现在你看待你的故乡或者你的家乡的时候，你是觉得是越来越清晰，还是越来越模糊？
我怎么连中文都听不太懂？你跟我说那个他大概什么意思？
他就说他问了两个问题，一个是就是你看北京是很陌生，但他看你的回忆会觉得很陌生，你怎么看待这个传承或代沟的问题？这第二，他问就你现在越来越多的回去，经常可以回大陆，你会感觉到现在你的故乡感觉越来越清晰还是越来越模糊？这两个问题，我先翻译一下。So I'm very happy to meet you, and I wanted to ask. I read this book when I was in university, more or less, and me and my peers were all born after 1990. For us, your memories are actually very foreign. The Beijing that you remember feels very estranged from us. So how do you think of this problem of transmission across generations or across time? That's the first question. And the second question is, now that you have the opportunity to go back more to visit Beijing, how do you, as you see your hometown more and more often, do you feel that it's becoming clearer to you or blurrier or more distant?
其实我原来说过一个叫家里的陌生人，就是我自己在家里待着永远是陌生人，哪儿都这是一点。还有一个就是，其实我这么多年在不同的国家、不同的城市，这变成是 是我这个故乡中的一部分了，和中国都有没关系。因为比如我写的《纽约变奏》，写的《巴黎故事》，其实写了很多是和这个我的经验都有关系。我认识很多朋友，有各种那个缘由吧，所以我会经常到别的地方去，到我们叫诗与远方，是吧？这个其实也是从那儿也从远方要回到北京。反正这个我觉得是一个基本的一个矛盾。我觉得尤其是在中国社会啊，中国社会最大的一个是这个现代化的问题，其实是你再回到这些故乡，很多以前没去过的地方，他觉得那个城市都感觉是像一样的，包括哪个什么，连我们的老家湖州是我的老家，连湖州你觉得它那个建筑的模式一样的。它有一个5星级酒店，然后旁边有那个政府的那个楼，它是基本是，所以这个就是一个现代化的一个大的陷阱。
I once wrote a piece called The Stranger at Home because I feel sometimes like a stranger even when I'm in my own house. So many years in different places, different cities, whether inside or outside of China, have made me accustomed to this condition of being a stranger. And so when I write about New York or when I write about Germany, sometimes I'll think about how the mission of poetry is to transport us, even to transport us home. So I think this is a basic contradiction. And I think it's also, when you come to look at the problem of Chinese modernization, one of the things that you can really see is that all of our hometowns become more and more the same. All the cities look the same, and so even Huzhou, which is my ancestral home, all of the architecture looks the same now. It has no distinctive characteristics. So you'll have a 5-star hotel, and next to it you'll have a government building. And this is, I think, one of the primary traps of Chinese modernization.
我这问题越来越多了哈。
But
I have more and more questions.
What? Yeah. Yeah, one of you. Yeah. Fight it out. They're right next to each other. So.
北岛先生您好，我的问题有2个。第一个是我想问您在现在看您过去写的诗的时候是一种什么样的心情？比如说有一部分您的诗比其他一些诗可能更广为人知，您是否觉得这些诗现在看的时候也更令您满意？然后比如说这些诗中有没有什么您现在看会觉得有一些部分您非常想改，或者说不满意的，或者说现在看还是会带来一种快乐还是什么样的心情？然后另一个问题就是您怎么看现代诗？您觉得现代诗最重要的是什么？比如现在很多人在尝试对现代诗进行不同的实验性的形式，然后一些人会质疑现代诗的艺术价值，您是怎么看这个问题的？谢谢。
这个你同学怎么没看见在哪儿呢？好像没看见啊，在那儿呢啊。我还没看见声音嘛，只是看见。
Where are you? That's what he asked. Where are you?
Oh, she's over there.
那边哦，看到了哦，好的。
It's very strange to hear a voice without seeing the person speaking it. I have two questions. The first is, how do you feel looking back at your poetry? Some of your poems are more well-known than others. Do you find that some of them give you satisfaction? Do you find that there are things that you wish you could change about a certain of your poems? Do you find they bring you joy? That's the first question. And my second question is, how do you have any observations or thoughts you'd like to share about contemporary poetry? For example, the value that's placed on everyday language or on experimentation.
Wow.
这个题目太大了。
Do you have an hour?
对啊，这个我要不然再开一次会吧，再开一个再做一次演讲吧。
This topic is too broad. Should I organize another talk?
我们先这个关于诗歌这个题目，咱们要另外谈吧。这不太可能，那个。好吧
It's not possible for me to answer this question right now. It's too big.
We only have time for a couple of questions. How do we pick? Okay. So, who should we pick here?
那个小伙子，对，这个
We'll let the men speak for a minute.
对。
我想问一下您，就是您童年的心态是想尽快长大，摆脱那种忧郁的童年，还是说抗拒成为一个成年人，承担这些责任的人？
I would like to ask, as you, when you were growing up, how did you feel? Did you want to grow up faster and leave the melancholy of childhood, or did you want to stay in adolescence forever and stay away from adult responsibilities?
join the melancholy of adulthood.
这个其实是这种假设哈。那我怎么能够重新再讲自己的这种这成长的过程中，这个怎么能够改变呢？其实是改不了的。是我这么回过头来看的这一部分。你的意思？
您现在穿越回去的话，
哦，你们穿越，对，我知道你们是穿越这一代，你们对看这种，我知道是这个穿越的故事，我还没有认真读过穿越的这种。
I'll translate that. He says, how would, well, this is just a conjecture, but how would I change it? Well, I mean, I can't really go back to change things. If I can't really go back to change things. All I can do is go back and reflect on that time. And the follow-up question was, if you could go back to change it, what would you do? And he said, Bei Dao said, oh, I forgot your generation is the generation of time travelers. You can pass through time. I haven't yet learned that in my reading.
But if you went back to your childhood, presumably you want more to eat, right? I would think. Okay, but you're waving too much. How about you in the white over here? No, you right here. Yeah, you. Yeah.
Thanks. 老师好，我用那个中文问吧，就是那个我还没看您这本书，但是刚刚听您讲了一下，然后我前一段读了熊培云先生的一本书，他写叫《追故乡的人》，然后他在那本书里说，故乡不仅是一个地理上的概念，您觉得您在写这本书的时候，更多的是在重构北京这个作为一个城市地理上的概念，还是更多的其实是想和大家分享您作为那一代人对于政治和历史生活的一个共同记忆呢？
互相不解释吗？
对，我的手机掉了，等一下。喂，你找着了。
那本书叫什么？
追故乡的人。
这是给谁写的？不是我写的吧？
Bei Dao asked.
我现在自己活动啊。
不是您写。就是我看了一本，就是我没读您这本，然后那个就是我看了另一本，然后但他在书里说，他觉得故乡不仅是一个地理上的概念然后就我在想说，您的这本书更多的是在重构北京作为这个城市的一个，就是您觉得找不到北京这个城市的这样的一个地理上的概念，还是更多的是其实是在描述您那一代人对于政治生活还有历史生活的那样的一个共同的经验。
So my question is, I haven't read this book, but I did recently read a book called The Person Chasing for Home or The Person Searching for Home, in which the author says that the hometown is only a geographic concept. And I wanted to ask, do you feel that your book is an attempt to reconstruct Beijing as a place, as a physical place, or is it more a description of a generation's feelings and relationship to politics and society and a way of life?
其实这种非常复杂，这种感情不是一个能够简单的去把它理清的。其实包括童年的记忆中，我觉得它是通过这些细节造成的。它其实不会有一个所谓没有什么理论，也没有什么那个，而且是因为自己的重要的一种体验。这种体验和我的语言中的一种，他要找到一个所谓我们的一个载体，是他通过这个语言本身造成的。所以这个其实是，这个意思对不对？我不知道你这个问题啊，那个，因为你比如关于中国这段历史太复杂了，我们就是只是我的一个作为一个见证人而已，所以我的角度就。至少他们对于，我觉得尤其一个好处是什么？对于西方人，他们不太了解这个中国文化，这种变化，比如包括文化大革命。但是我觉得正好通过个人的角度，就会反射出这一个很重要的一部分。 一般都会去比较会抽象的去讲文革，这个文革其实太复杂。
It's very hard to organize or to disentangle the complex emotions I have about my childhood. I think that I've tried to reconstruct it through details and not through theories. I think it's that a personal experience that I've had has sought to find a vehicle, the form of language in particular, by which to express itself. And this history has been too complex. I was just growing up too, so I had a very limited perspective. And one advantage, perhaps, of my perspective is that many people from outside of China don't necessarily understand the Cultural Revolution, but perhaps taking a kind of more individual approach or individual perspective rather than an abstract perspective kind of allows people to understand it better.
Okay, I'm afraid we've run out of time, so we thought we would end with a poem, because everything ends in poetry. And maybe I'll read the English first, and then you read the Chinese, so that you have the last word.
Okay.
So we'll do English first?
Your last word.
So you have the last word. Okay. The Rose of Time. When the watchman falls asleep, you turn back with the storm. To grow old embracing is the rose of time. When bird roads define the sky, you look behind at the sunset. To emerge in disappearance is the rose of time. When the knife is bent in water, you cross the bridge, stepping on flute songs. To cry in the conspiracy is the rose of time. When a pen draws the horizon, you're awakened by a gong from the east. To bloom in the echoes is the rose of time. In the mirror, there is always this moment. This moment leads to the door of rebirth. The door opens to the sea, the rose of time.
时间的玫瑰。当守门人沉睡，你和风暴一起转身，拥抱中老去的是时间的玫瑰。当鸟路界定天空，你回望那落日，消失中呈现的是时间的玫瑰。当刀在水中折弯，你踏笛声过桥，密谋中哭喊的是时间的玫瑰。当笔画出地平线，你被东方之螺惊醒，回声中开放的是时间的玫瑰。镜中永远是此刻，此刻通向重生之门，那门开向大海，时间的玫瑰。
Thank you. Thank you, Bei Dao. Thank you, David, for a fabulous translation. Thank you all for coming. And run to Book Culture and buy the book. Thank you all.